Has anyone heard? The Gods Unchained team has just announced that several people have been removed from the running of the Council Mortals due to using incentives to acquire votes. So what's going on here? And who were the people removed? Well, let me explain. First, you have to understand what the Council Mortals is. Basically, it's a body of players who were elected to be the voice of the community. For example, people wanted welcome set cards available to forge. A member on the council advocates for the change. A few months later, the Gods Unchained team makes the change. But why would someone want to be part of the council? Is it for the fame, the power, or the genuine feeling to improve the game? Maybe. But the cynical side of me thinks that it could be the money. 300 Gods tokens a month to be exact. That's about roughly $90 a month. And with the council member's term being 6 months, that's 1800 Gods tokens, or about $540 a term. Nothing mind-boggling, but still, not bad for showing up to one meeting a month for 1 hour. But let's get right into the controversy, and that has to do with the election process itself. Basically, if someone wants to get elected, they need to first get nominated. It looks like this. And you have to get nominated by someone else. That's the rule, you can't nominate yourself. And this is done through either the official Gods Unchained Discord or through the Gods Unchained's Reddit page. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this before, but there are only 15 seats on the council, and they are divided into 4 categories. But here, I'll add a description for each category. It'll make it easier for everyone to understand. Now, back to the nomination process. When you get nominated, the person who nominated you will also tag the category they nominated you for. Votes are then made by simply upvoting the nomination post. After a certain period of time, voting closes and the shortlist of nominations is made. And that's round 1. After that, a second round of voting is held. This time, of course, with only the shortlisted nominees. The winners are determined by the highest amount of votes at the end of the voting period. So that's how everything is supposed to work. Now, normal people do a grassroots campaign to get votes, whether it be trying to convince people in the Discord, or streaming more often to get people to remember them, or even asking their friends to vote for them. I think any of those methods is fine. The problem starts to occur when people start giving out incentives to vote. For example, if someone decides to give out gods or ETH to anyone who voted for them, I think it's pretty obvious that that's not allowed. The same thing should go for giving raffle tickets as well. I put all of them in the same category as using bots to get votes. A zero tolerance category. Now enter our 2 main characters. Nears from Team XBorg and Simon, also from XBorg. As you can see, these 2 are from Team XBorg, a rather large organization. I mean, their Discord has over 10,000 members. That's pretty big. So what incentives did XBorg give? Well, if you go to their Discord, you'll immediately be greeted with a bot that tells you about XP. As it says right there, by completing quests, you can unlock the Explorer role. This role will then unlock special perks. Okay, but first let's find out what is XP and what these perks are. Then scroll down. We can learn a couple of things. We find out that XP or energy is basically XBorg's currency. While it might not have any monetary value, it still does have some perks, including acting as access for buying one of their NFTs. But it seems that there are future plans to include airdrops, giveaways, and other perks as well. So long story short, while XP or energy doesn't have any monetary value, it does seem to be pretty important inside the XBorg community. But how do you earn XP? Well, according to the article, one method is to complete bounties, and you can find the bounties by clicking this link. And here's the different missions you can complete for a different amount of XP. And if we go back to the XBorg Discord, 2 new quests you say. I wonder what they are. Collect XP by voting for Simon, and another one for voting for Nears. And this is what got these two disqualified. By voting, you get XP in return. That's an incentive, maybe not a monetary one, but an incentive nevertheless. Therefore, they were disqualified. It's kind of funny, really. All they had to do was not include this part, and they would be in the council. I mean, they already had the announcements helping them get votes, as well as having top members of their organizations pinging everyone to help. But again, that's allowed. Anyways, that's pretty much the official reason why they were disqualified. But there is another flaw in the Gods Unchained voting system that I want to point out. It has to do with the voter verification. Now, the Council of Mortals is supposed to represent the voice of the community, so one would reason that only people who play Gods Unchained should vote for the members in the council. Because of course, why would you let non-Gods Unchained players vote in a Gods Unchained contest? And currently, the only way to verify that someone is a Gods Unchained player is to simply be in the Discord. Really, that's all it takes. Now, considering that XBorg is a very large organization that covers many different games, not just Gods Unchained, and you have to know that that mission wasn't just for Gods Unchained players. It was posted in the general chat, so it was available to everyone from XBorg. So it stands to reason that some of the people who participate in the voting for the council have never played Gods Unchained. I hope I don't have to tell you why this is very unethical. Getting people who don't know anything about the game to vote in an election that could determine the future of said game. Anyways, I decided to make an Excel spreadsheet and write down the names of all the people who voted for Niers. And I will then check to see if they've said anything in the Gods Unchained Discord. My reasoning is that if you're a real player and you're knowledgeable enough to vote for someone, then you most likely have said at least one thing in the Discord. But if you voted and never said anything, you probably just came here for the mission. Being generous, I counted people who just said one word or something like hi, or good morning or hello. But then I took it a step further. I then cross-referenced all the players who haven't said anything and checked if they were in the XBorg Discord. If they weren't, I just went ahead and considered them real players. Again, I want to be generous with my standards. However, if they were, I then put them through another filter. If you go to the XBorg Discord, it doesn't immediately give you access to a bunch of different sections in the Discord. For example, the Gods Unchained section. If you want access to the Gods Unchained chat section, you need to sign up for that role. So, in summary, if I find someone who has never spoken in the chat, is part of XBorg, but also doesn't have a Gods Unchained role, I consider them as a non-GU voter. And to even be more generous to Niers, if I couldn't spell the name of someone, I just counted them as a real player. If they were in the XBorg Discord, but I couldn't view their profile for whatever reason, like maybe they only chatted in a different section that I didn't have access to, I just counted them as a real player as well. Anyways, here are the results. Of the 148 voters, I counted 36 very suspicious voters. That's almost a quarter of all the votes for Niers. In my eyes, this is pretty clear proof that a bunch of non-Gods Unchained players are voting. And here's where the blame lies on the GU team. Having votes through a Discord is one of the dumbest things I've seen. It can be exploited way too easily. This has to change. Normally, I would say the ideal way to get people to vote would be directly through the game's client. Like right there, it should say, vote for the council right now, or some kind of banner or something. In my opinion, that's the best solution. It would get more people to vote and prevent any other mess from happening. But if that can't be done, then I would at least like to see people voting with their GU ID number. For example, if you want to vote, just leave your ID number in the thread as a comment. Not the most sophisticated solution, but if you really need a quick fix, there you go. That's at least better than what's happening now. So, after hearing that they were disqualified, what was their response? Well, Niers has been on radio silence, but he did thumbs down the announcement post, so make of that what you will. Simon, on the other hand, has been a little more vocal. Basically, he claims that because it wasn't money, it was okay to do. Or at least, that's what I think he's saying. He doesn't seem to understand that incentives don't have to be monetary. So of course he got disqualified. But I still think the most shocking thing is his lack of ethics. Does he not see anything wrong with creating an official mission to get people to vote for you? You really don't see how that's not fair? Having an official organization helping you with bounties? But just because the Gods Unchained team doesn't state word for word that this wasn't allowed, you went ahead and did it? If the rules didn't specifically ban using bots, would you use them too? Is that the type of people that are in XBorg? If there's a way to exploit a system, do they jump at the chance? I mean, as a mod, you sort of represent XBorg everywhere you go. And don't even get me started with the whole non-GU people voting in a GU election. That's obviously wrong to do. And those two should know this. You know why? Because XBorg also has a council, and looks fairly similar to the Gods Unchained council. How would you feel if you saw one of the XBorg candidates suddenly get a huge boost in votes? And then when you look closer, you find out that another large organization, like Perion, flooded the Discord and voted. And with even further investigation, you found out that there was a bounty that incentivized people to vote. I bet you would get upset too, right? Well, that's exactly the situation I'm sitting in right now. I would gladly spend 30 to 40 hours making a video just on this situation, because I don't want anyone to forget what happened here, and hopefully something like this will never happen again. But before I end this video, I just wanted to show you something. Remember this part of the announcement about the individual who brought this situation to the team's attention? Well, that individual reported it in the general section of the Gods Unchained Discord, about 5 hours before the voting deadline closed. And that was me. So that just about does it for this video. If you have any questions, leave in the comments below. Until then, I'm the Outlaw. And until something else comes up, later.